So many warm blessings in 2013. Welcome into this new year. So I thought I'd share a little bit today about boundaries. Claiming your boundaries in your life. Claiming your physical boundaries, your emotional boundaries, your energetic or psychic boundaries. How those affect us. So this comes in many different ways, and really speaking first about physical, we have many physical boundaries. You think about the boundaries that we have with our home. We have our home, those boundaries of the walls is a boundary to the outside and a boundary to other people coming in. We also have boundaries with our land. Usually there's fences, or we have different ways of claiming what is our land through plants, through whatever it may be, to claim a space. This is my area. Now, when we get into boundaries that are with people, somehow they get muddied really quickly. So our interpersonal relationships, how we relate to boundaries. So somebody comes into our field, and you notice this sometimes, how some people have no clue of interpersonal boundaries. They don't know being too close or too far. They'll get right in your face, and they have no idea that they're intruding on your boundaries. So here's the test: is how do we claim our boundaries? How do we declare our boundaries, and then also maintain relationships with others? So a piece is being really clear within ourselves of what are our boundaries. So when somebody comes into our field, what is that distance that we choose to have with them? But not just with physical, but also with a distance of how willing are we to let somebody in, and how quickly, etc. So it's important to know our own boundaries, so then we can declare them and claim them with others. And then when you live with somebody, or you're in relationship with somebody, what are your boundaries? What are the absolutes? Claiming and stating, look, this doesn't work for me. If you yell and scream at me and you call me names when you're angry, that doesn't work for me. That's a boundary. That's saying, listen, when you get in this place, I'm asking you to either come into a place of speaking your truth without launching all your shit onto me, and coming into a space of, okay, taking responsibility for your anger, but when you start to lash out at me, etc., then that's claiming a boundary, saying no way, no more. And sometimes we need somebody to actually overstep a boundary that we're not even aware of before we can claim it. So somebody, speaking in relationship, if your partner does something and you didn't even know you had a boundary, but all of a sudden something's up, it's giving you the opportunity to first look at what your stuff is, and then declare, this is my limits. So boundaries are also meant to be changed. So, and I'm speaking more and more going into relationship and relating with other people, less about the physical boundaries of home and when people are getting in your face, but when you're in relationship with somebody and something comes up and you realize, hey, every time that you're yelling and screaming at me, that shuts me down, it closes me off, and then I don't want to have anything to do with you, and I want to run. So what I request of you in this time, as I'm taking responsibility, what my reactions are, is while you're in this place, I'm asking you to consciously find a way to communicate consciously with me. And if you can't, then go in the other room, go someplace else, process your stuff, and then come and share with me what's going on from a place of not projecting on me. Now, at the same time, we have the opportunity to declare our responsibility of why we need the boundary in the first place. So there's something being triggered in us, and it's closing us down, for instance, in this circumstance. So what is it in that exchange that is creating this desire to run or to close down? Then that's our work. So then we've been blessed by this situation, this dynamic with our partner, our friend, and for them to bring this stuff up to the surface. Not to blame them and point fingers, because then we're overstepping our respect and honor and consciousness with that other person. What we do is we go, okay, I take responsibility for when you come into my field and you throw up on me, that then I start reacting. So what is that within me that I still am having to react and respond or close down when those things happen? So then there's an opportunity to go in and look at, why am I still taking this personally? Why is it that I cannot just hold space for this person while they're going through their challenges, even if they're slinging mud at me? Do I have to take that personally, etc.? Looking at our own stuff. And then if we come to a completion with that, or an evolution with that, our boundary may change. It may be, look, you can express your anger, and you can even express your anger directly at me, and I'm still asking you, while you're doing that, I've realized that I have a shift in my boundary now, but you can express your anger, but no calling names. And that's not needed ever, okay? So we come to awareness of our boundaries while also honoring ourselves. This is not trying to be the do-gooder and say, oh, I have no boundaries, everything's great. Boundaries are necessary, even at the place of saying, look, if you have a hatchet in your hand and you're going to swing it at me, it's going to kill me. So it's not invited for you to swing that hatchet, okay? That's my boundary. What is the boundaries? If you're going to swing hatchets of words and negativity at me, that's a boundary for me. So it's just coming to awareness of what your own boundaries are and being able to communicate them. Now we also have psychic boundaries, and we've got to be conscious of these psychic boundaries, of how we're throwing those on other people or how we're receiving them. This is about creating a little stronger field and being really clear of what we're allowing in our day. If you imagine, we have our physical body, but then we also have an energetic body. So if we've just gotten done meditating and our energetic body is out here really wide, and then we walk out into the world, or we open up Facebook and we keep our field out here, any negativity coming in, whether it's directed at us or somewhere else, that field can pick it up, and we might start to feel that. We might feel congestion in our body, in our stomach, in our throat, etc. So what my suggestion is to be first with our own selves, being conscious of how we're picking up stuff, and if we're noticing we're really sensitive to sounds and to going out into the world, or when we're on Facebook or watching a movie and we're penetrated by this, and we're having a struggle to come into harmony and balance with self, then we need to look at our psychic boundaries, how to bring in our field, how to meditate, and really then be consciously about regrounding, recentering. It's not closing down, but bringing in our field, so we're not just catching everything. And how we're not taking so much personally when thoughts come into our mind, not necessarily taking ownership of those thoughts, responsibility, but then choosing what thoughts we empower, not taking ownership of everything that comes into our space, into our field. We can just acknowledge it as that is that, rather than that is mine. So becoming more and more aware of psychic boundaries, how they're coming into us, but also how we're projecting them out. As my teacher Shankaracharya will say, he's a guru, my guru, he'll say it's far less, where am I directing here? So excuse me for a moment. It's far less important what is said rather than the intention behind it. So when we're directing energy towards someone else, what's our intention behind that? While they're here and while they're not here, are we trying to glean or grab a hold, glob on, get something from them? This happens a lot in relationship. When we feel somebody pulling away or we're not getting what we need from them, we're psychically trying to get from them. I was in a relationship about maybe 10 years ago where this woman was never completely available, and I was so in passion love with this woman that I energetically was trying to get her in relationship with me, in love with me, and she kept pulling away. So every time she's pulling away, I could feel her. I could feel her pulling away, whether she was in the room or whether she was 1,000 miles away. I could feel that pull. And that was because I was breaking her boundaries. I was psychically holding on, clenching on, grabbing a hold. And I'm offering that there's another way to really come back into our own space, be in our space, and express what we need, but not glob on, not try to get, not try to hold on. And this is part of our inner work. And I could, while I was in that relationship, I would know whether she was with me or not with me, if she was with another or not with me. If she, I could actually sit with her and I could psychically pick up her pulling away or her story, anything that was going on in her mind. I could pick up her thoughts. And I was totally entrenched and weaved into her field and overstepping boundaries. So I got the lessons to really learn from that relationship as I stepped away from that and moving into other relationships, how to really declare my own boundaries and how to really honor other people's boundaries, even if they don't know what they are and even if they don't know, even if they're not declaring them. So the lesson here is really becoming conscious and aware of what our own needs are, what our own boundaries are, communicating them, and then really standing for them. So when somebody oversteps them, to just be able to consciously say, hey, you've overstepped this. You've overstepped my boundary. This is what I need in this moment, in this time. It may change, but for now, I need you to ... or not do ... And also be conscious of how you're overstepping other boundaries, other people's boundaries. And really notice when you're doing that, what you're afraid of, what you're trying to get, what you're not feeling complete with inside. That's where it's to return. And then the field. So when our field is open, or even when it's close into us, being conscious of how many windows you have open in your computer. If you're having a YouTube video coming in, a Facebook thing, a movie going on, and all these things, your emails coming in all at once and you're reading all that, that's a lot of energy coming at you at once. So my suggestion is to do one thing at a time on the computer, not opening so many windows and boxes into other people's energy, because that's coming through that telephone, through the computer, through the video games. That's all inundation. So be willing to go a little slower and not open your field to so much at a time, little by little. And we could go into specifics of each one of those, but that's a nice overview of really declaring your boundaries and really honoring others' boundaries. So hope this helps in some way. Namaste, and many blessings in this new year, and look forward to sharing more with you soon.